I completely agree with that, Clive, as well. And one of the aspects, in fact, anything that you're ever going to attempt, the hard part is initially doing it. After the fact is often you look back and go, well, that wasn't that hard. But at that point, it is, and that's where that tenacity and courage has to come in, and it's phenomenal what happens. There's a lovely quote, I can't recall the exact thing. It's about boldness. It's about taking that first step, because you have no idea what will happen after that process, and you can't imagine it until you've actually physically done it.
Yeah, I agree. And this is where the workplace comes into. And again, I'm going back to Rob's example of mining. Imagine you do have that courage and you've decided to be somebody a bit like Rob and be brave and speak up. And you do that. But then your supervisor in the mining industry, because he's old school, don't you bring your problems to work, mate. You leave that shit at home. You'll never speak up again at work, will you? And moreover, the people that have witnessed that at work, they all learn the same lesson really fast. And I think mining, oil and gas, construction, those macho industries, they need to, psychologically speaking, grow up. They need to start actually recruiting leaders with emotional intelligence rather than just recruiting people based on technical skills. And again, we need to bring in people, mental health first aid courses are absolutely outstanding, where you can start to build that capacity, that emotional intelligence capacity, where people can recognize that. We need to start actually, not dealing with, but leaders who, say the old school stuff, harden up, mate. No, their time has gone. We need emotionally intelligent leaders. And at this stage, especially in the macho industries, we still haven't been great at recruiting the right people for those leadership roles.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the future leader that gets promoted from this time on will be with the one with the highest emotional intelligence, and they might not be a core skill, but it'll be definitely part of their mix, part of their makeup, and without it, I think you'll struggle to be a good leader.
So, question for you guys is: are you seeing that shift now? Like, I'm seeing it more just since COVID, that like the social skills, the emotional intelligence skills are more important than ever. Like, you have distance workforces now. You can't go and sit in the guy's office and talk to him anymore, or walk the plant and talk to your operators, right? Like, do you see that shift happening now, or what are you seeing out there?
I think the awareness of it is up. I mean, we had Tasha Broomhall present at our national forum in last year, and she was just absolutely brilliant. And one of the things she talked about was this mental health as a piece of string. And I've got a question here. Someone wants to have mental health defined, or mental illness defined. But from being on top of the world to being down in the dumps, completely like world's ending, if you think about it as a string from one side of the room to the other, she said, if you close your eyes and imagine where you are on that piece of string right now, and we're forever moving on that piece of string, can you picture where you are? And can you picture where someone else is? And no, you can't. We can't see exactly what's happening with other people. And that's why I think initiating some sort of conversation, it's not surprising to me that it's like a fracture in a balloon filled with water, that you prick a little hole in it, and then out comes this outpouring of emotional content, because they now have someone that understands. And so I don't know if that makes sense to you, Clive, or the other guys. But
it does. I'll come back to that, Jeff. I just want to go back to Rob's main question. Is it changing, or are we seeing any change? I might be a little bit biased there, Rob, because the clients I work with are clients who are looking to make that change. So having said that, I do believe at the very least awareness is increasing. I think there is a genuine desire to build better cultures. And by better, I mean more trusting cultures. And this notion of psychological safety, and just the uptake in that concept over the last year or so, tells me that something is shifting. The notion of psychological safety. And all that means is people feel safe to share what's going on for them, share ideas, and even share mistakes. Where you have psychological safety, you have trust, you're more likely to have guys speaking up. Where psychological safety is low, old school mining, for example, Rob, people, they won't speak up. Having a policy, I know a lot of companies have this lately. Our policy is people speak up. A policy doesn't make it safe to speak up. It's all right for leaders to say we want a culture where people speak up. If leaders haven't already created the climate of safety to speak up, nobody's going to do it anyway. I believe, mate, it is shifting. I believe the shift is too slow, but it is shifting slowly. There are pockets of resistance, and those pockets of resistance still tend to reside in the old, macho, male-dominated areas. But we're getting there. Back to Jeff's point, I like the piece of string, only because I see mental health as a continuum, the same as I see physical health as a continuum. That's all. We've all got days when we physically feel absolutely brilliant. But then the very next day, for maybe no apparent reason, we just feel not so great. We might actually get flu. We might get a cold. We might get an illness. And of course, our physical health then moves along that continuum from excellent to not so great. Mental health is the same. We all have mental health challenges, all of us, every single one of us. Some days we might feel in absolutely outstanding mental health, and other times we're bogged, really, really bogged. And of course, that can get quite severe with particular situations. But we all are somewhere on that continuum. And the more we get clued up, the more emotionally intelligent we are to be able to actually identify that, not just in ourselves, but in other people too. The more able we are to speak about that, both within ourselves and within other people. And this is true of Australia, and the Australians, I think, would agree with me. I'm not sure if it's the same in Canada, Rob. The language is important. Asking questions is important, but get this, for a traditional Australian question to a bloke, all right? How you going, mate? Good, thanks. Most Australian males will say, good, thanks, even if they've just come out of a coma. It's just habitual. It's just what we say. And often we think that's a good check-in. I'll ask him how he is. How are you, mate? Good, thanks. Cool, my job's done. No, it's not. Because most of the Australian men will just say good, thanks, because people will go away then. They don't have to bother me anymore. And we need to get much better at asking really good questions.
Many have moved on to now, are you okay? And that's almost become the same tick.
Are you okay? And even that question is a great movement, by the way. Fantastic movement that is shining a light again. But even that, are you okay? If you leave it at that,
it's not enough. Yeah,
it's not, because a default response can be, "Yep." Tell me what okay looks like for you today. Just dig a little deeper. Sorry, Greg.
Okay.
I really like that is that the question, are you okay? So I have are you okay conversations with people, but I will preface it by saying I'm going to have an are you okay conversation with you, because it immediately puts them into a different mind space. We're now going to be talking about something real as opposed to are you okay, because it's a binary response, yes or no.
Yeah, that's great.
Being able to do that gives a completely different response.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think questions like, sorry.
Go on, Clive.
Questions like, and we do this in our leaders group. Where's your attention today? What's your attention focused on today? Actually, just provides a little bit more data. And for me, it's usually if somebody's not okay, not always, but often they'll give some sort of indication somehow in their demeanor. They're not where they usually are. And for me, then, rather than just are you okay? I believe in being authentic about this stuff, and it might be for me just owning my thoughts and my feelings. It might be I'm just getting a sense that you're not yourself today.
Yeah,
am I right? And just being authentic with that. They can always say I'm off base, but that invites a lot more than how you going? Good.